And I'm talking about the riskiest card game of all, using high-rate cards from other institutions and stores. If you've been shuffling your deck for too long, and the bluffing you're doing with your own finances is beginning to look like it's time to fold, visit Freedom United Federal Credit Union and get a new deal on a low fixed rate Visa card. Through March 31st, get a low fixed 6.99% interest rate on all new Visa balance transfers with approved credit. Get back in the game. Put a little freedom in your future with the 6.99% Visa balance transfer. Special now available through the end of the month. Click freedomunitedfcu.com. Member NCUA Equal Housing Lender.
It's now time for the best of Beaver County. For the next 30 minutes, you're going to learn about unique and interesting people in Beaver County. You can also watch live on Facebook at WBVP-WMBA. The Best of Beaver County is brought to you by St. Barnabas. Here is your host, Frank Sparks.
Hey, good morning and welcome to the Best of Beaver County. Today's guest is Rick Mattia. He is from NAMI Beaver County. And we're going to talk a little bit and let you find out over the next half hour what NAMI is all about. Good morning, Rick.
Good morning, Frank. Thanks for having us on.
Appreciate you coming in today. Well, why don't you first off tell us a little bit about who Rick Mattia is, and then we'll go on to NAMI.
Absolutely. So I've always had an interest in being in the mental health and human service field from a young child. My family was just a typical Italian family, but we had a lot of anxiety. That was just the way that it was, my mother and my sister. And, so I just at a young age kind of took an interest in helping out, even just with my immediate family. And I always knew that that's what I wanted to do. Wasn't really, I was bullied in school, and then I got into therapy at a fairly young age. And I kept that therapist as a therapist and as a mentor for many, many, many years. And, it just became a fascinating thing for me. So I did get my degree in that, but then I also did some offshoots, and currently I'm still with both of those opportunities, but one of them is NAMI in Beaver County. So I get to do some new programs and build some for the community as well. I have some great people on our board and some other helpers that are available to help me out with those goals.
Well, tell us a little bit about your family and growing up, and if you have any family now, kids or anything.
Yeah.
Okay.
So as I said, I was born to my parents as they were older. My sister's 14 years older than me, and my mother had 2 miscarriages between us, and so I was kind of the surprise. And but my mother, as I said, had a lot of anxiety and some different things going on for herself as she got older, and so a lot of that was as an impressionable kid, a lot of that was kind of thrown on my shoulders. Not that she meant to do it, but it just happened that way. Especially when you have a personality that kind of is a sponge and listens to everything that everybody says around you. So, but I wouldn't change it for the world, of course. And it helped me to become who I am today. Currently, I do have 2 kids.
Okay.
I have a 15-year-old daughter and a 14-year-old daughter, and they're both at Lincoln Park Charter School. So
awesome.
it's a fun age, and they're both old souls, and they're a lot of fun to be around. So,
at what age did you realize that you had a gift to be able to do this?
I mean, honestly, I don't want to, I don't want to toot my own horn, and that's not what I'm doing by saying this. But I mean, I was probably 8 or 9 years old when I was helping out my sister and my mother with various things they were dealing with. It just kind of, I internalized a lot of what I was hearing that they were dealing with. I remember specifically even with my dad, and he was just kind of like a straight-edged figure. But I found out one of his favorite actors passed away, and I ran to him with a box of tissues. So I just always had that nurturing kind of personality, and I'm glad I've been able to hone it into some things that actually make sense now.
Did you grow up here in Beaver County?
I did, in Ambridge.
In Ambridge, okay. And what led you to NAMI?
I've worked for community alternatives for 25 years now, and in that time frame, I've been able to network and do some different things within the county and various meetings and work groups and think groups, and the NAMI individuals that were involved back in the day had I guess liked that, you know, I was kind of passionate about the community and whatever, and I was approached to become the part-time director of NAMI back in 2017, and it right around that time was between my father and my mother passing away, and as busy as I am with my other agency, I kind of felt like it was a good time for me to be involved with something new.
Tell us a little bit about NAMI of Beaver County.
NAMI Beaver County has been around for quite a while. I still get tidbits from the people that are involved. Our board president, Dave Aitken, has been around for quite some time, and he knows the history. So I know he's been on here a few times with me and whatever, and I always learn something new. But it's been around for quite a while. There were several people that really kept it going back in the day. Now we've been in the location in Beaver for, I believe, about 13 years, a little bit before my time. But it's been nice, you know, the advocacy side of things, as well as being able to, you know, provide programming and kind of move with the trends of Beaver County and just our society in general with COVID and whatever. You know, we've moved a lot of things online, which has been greatly beneficial to our participants.
Did COVID, how much did that affect a lot of people's mental well-being?
I'm more than they're willing to admit, and I know that's something we don't want to give power to things that are outside of our control, and we don't want to admit that we don't have control. But I can assure you that is something that has had an impact on everybody. I believe tomorrow is the 6-year anniversary, and it's not one that I love. You know, it impacted me personally and professionally. I was tasked with a lot of different things at that point in both of these roles, and you know, it was really hard to be out in the community because we didn't know what we were up against, if we were going to get sick or what our limitations were or whatever. So it was hard to do that. But as I said, for the NAMI side of things, it was really nice for me to be able to you know, put a lot of our programs online, and we still currently are able to do those.
So we have NAMI Beaver County, but NAMI's a United States nationwide program. Tell us a little bit about the nationwide effort.
So NAMI National, you know, there's and Keystone, who is our local affiliate outside of Beaver County. They provide a lot of different programming and different things. They advocate a little differently than we do. Obviously, they have more manpower and number than we do, and it allows them to go to different political kind of events and lobby for different things that they want to see in our communities and in our society in general, and then they also provide the similar programming that we do. We are able to kind of branch out a little bit and do some new things, which is what allows us to, you know, provide some of the programming that outside of the flagship programs that NAMI National provides. But a lot of their programs are amazing. The class-based ones like Family to Family and Peer to Peer are just phenomenal programs that you know, that we're able to have as well. But I know those are like the flagship programs of the main NAMI affiliates.
Take us through that a little bit. Take us through some of the programs and exactly what the programs are.
Absolutely. So our family support group, it's one that I do online every Tuesday at noon, and then our Dave from the agency does it on Thursday, every third Thursday at 7 at our Beaver location. That one is for family members of people who have a mental illness or mental health issue, and we help them to navigate those relationships so that they're not as stressed out, and how to not, you know, kind of melt down whenever they're talking to whoever it is, and maybe get some different providers in place, or just at least some different ideas in place so that they can leave the group feeling better than when they came in. Mm-hmm. We also have a connection group that meets on Tuesdays at our location at 11:30. That program is for individuals specifically that deal with mental illness and mental health issues. And it's kind of an intimate environment. They eat lunch together, and they all just kind of go around the table and talk about what they're dealing with, and each of them provides feedback to one another. Some of the things that we started are the Rising Stars group, which is kind of the bread and butter of what we do now. It's a young adult empowerment group. We do that on Thursday evenings from 7 to 9. It's been great. We get a lot of people that come on there. A lot of young adults really don't know their way after they graduate from school, and it gives them an opportunity to talk about the various things that they're dealing with, maybe vocationally, with relationships, and we are able to give them some feedback and ideas so that they can navigate life a little bit differently and more in a more healthy manner. And then now it's at a place where they're kind of able to uplift one another too, which is really cool. That's followed by something we call Game Night Grinders. And
I was going to ask you how that was going.
It's going well.
Awesome.
It's going well. That starts.
Remember you were just starting that up last time we were
yes.
in.
Yeah. Game Night Grinders is cool. It's a gaming group, and not just with like video games, but whatever it is that people want to talk about recreationally. They actually do a lot of trivia in there, which is real cool. They did a Star Wars trivia. They did a wrestling trivia. So it brings people out, and it's real exciting for them to have those conversations. So it's not as heavy as our first group, and it's nice that everybody's able to transition into that one a little bit later. We also have one called Timeless Expression. I started last year. I'm working with some of the local like retirement homes, and I'm going in and having like either a game day or just a discussion day where everybody's able to just kind of air out what their frustrations are or whatever they're dealing with, and I kind of just give them some ideas about things, or we play some games to kind of keep it light. So yeah, we do a little variety of things.
That's cool. Let me ask you this. So does everybody in some capacity, and I know it's a bad word to talk about mental illness a lot of times. People they don't want to admit to it and brush it under the rug, but does everybody suffer from mental illness in some capacity?
Yeah, when I was doing therapy for community alternatives, when somebody would come in for their intake or whatever, I would absolutely first say that, hey, you know what, don't be embarrassed about this because everybody needs to be here. Right. And I believe that. And myself included. You know, I think everybody can benefit from having a third-party source to talk to, just to kind of clear your head and, you know, kind of identify if where you're headed is the right place, or, you know, what you're thinking is appropriate or whatever it might be. And then that's notwithstanding like deeper issues that people might have that, you know, that are related to a diagnosis or whatever. So yeah, I truly believe that everyone is suffering from something or could benefit from some extra help.
How much does depression play a role in all that?
I think depression plays a role in a couple different ways, because I think that there's some that is onset by circumstance, and then I think there's some that's more internal kind of an issue. So I think it does play a big role. I think ones that are related to circumstance, you know, I don't want to say they're easy or dealt with, but I think that if you can get to the root of why you're upset or depressed, that, you know, if you can start making some subtle changes at the very least, that it'll start you feeling in a little bit of a better direction.
How much does family life, being at home, mom, dad, kids, affect it?
I think it affects it in a lot of different ways, because if you're talking about a nuclear family, I think that, you know, I think the lack of that sometimes can hurt. But also you can have situations where everybody's still kind of communicating well with one another, even if you're not together and whatever. And I think that also the influence of family can be really significant in either a positive or a negative way. We sometimes don't realize that, especially as we're growing up, because we want to think that we're independent. Yeah. But a lot of our opinions and the way that our character has been set is related to the way that other people have you know, influenced us, or the way that we watch other role models in our lives live.
People can look at you now that are on Facebook, because I forgot to hit the button, so they've just been looking at the logo all this time. Okay. So now they get to see your smiling face. Okay. So let me ask you this. How much does stress within the house or stress within the workplace play a role as well?
I'll address work first, because it is such a huge issue in all of the programs that I do. It is a massive issue, because I think that vocational situations can make or break somebody. It's a huge part of your day. It's just like kids with school. It's a massive part of your day. You know, you might be at work more than you're at home, and you know, you want it to be a good situation, a positive situation, a healthy place for you to be. And sometimes that's not the case. What I try to do in those kind of situations when people talk about it is let them know that, number one, it doesn't have to be forever. If it really is something that's that detrimental to their mental health, it doesn't have to be forever. But I also will digress from that and say that, you know, I understand that people need to work in order to live and have their homes or whatever it is that they want to have in their lives, because they need money for it. So I understand that that's easier said than done sometimes, but I think if you think critically and think a little bit outside the box, that you can kind of get yourself in a better place, so that you're either prepared to go back to that same place the next day, or maybe start looking for something that fits you and your personality a little bit better.
Well, I know a lot of times, like, and I'll use my own household as an example, you know, my wife had a rough day at work or I had a rough day at work, and you want to bounce it off each other, but you had a heck of a day as it is, so you don't really want to hear it. You know what I'm saying? So, somewhere like NAMI is a great place that you can help relieve that stress.
Absolutely. And I don't want to take anything away from the other county agencies and our community partners, because I think everybody does it well that I know of at this point for sure. And but you're right. I think that support group atmosphere is a little off-putting at times for some people, because they think that there's going to be just 50 people there that are judging them. But realistically speaking, from my experience now in the last 8 years or 9 years that I've been with the agency, is that everybody really just becomes supportive of one another, and it validates what you're dealing with, which I think that individualized therapy is a wonderful thing. Of course, I'm not taking anything away from that, but the group is really neat because you get to see that there's 5, 10, 15 other people that are dealing with the same things as you are, and it makes you feel so much less alone when you're dealing with those kinds of things.
How much does that socializing and just kind of talking with each other, how much does that help improve the mental health?
I think it really does matter, and unfortunately, I know we had brought up COVID earlier. I think we've taken a few steps back with socialization, because a lot of people just kind of do things within the comfort of their own home. You can order food, you can order groceries and whatever.
You don't got to leave the house.
You don't have to leave the house
bad.
much, and it is because you don't get used to interacting with people as much as you did before. But as I said, when you have those interactions and you could see that you're validated or that you have commonalities with other people, I think it just makes you feel a lot better about where you might be at.
What about school, work? Now that it's all online and things like that, how much has that affected our society? Because we learned a lot now in a lot of places. You don't have that socialism you had at work before, where you could hang out and talk to your work pals or go out afterwards.
Yeah.
How much does that affect
I mean, if we're talking about school, I could be here for another half hour or more about that. But I mean, I think that that's really impacted our youth and young adults with having a few years potentially at most where they were not able to be around their peers, and then jumping back into it or forcing them back into it has been a difficult transition back into that. I know in the workplace as well, as you'd said, there's a lot of people that kind of originally pushed back against the idea of working from home, and now they're pushing back about working back in the offices again. So habits form a lot quicker than we imagine, and that certainly has a part to play in all of this.
I think the test scores have shown exactly what you're talking about, especially when it comes to school kids. And I know there's kids that I've seen that I know personally that actually had a problem getting reacclimated back into school, and it caused depression problems for them, and it just continued throughout.
Most certainly. I think that happens a lot more than we expect it to. Truancy issues are just through the roof at this point, and both of my agencies are trying to address that in different ways. So it's real.
So NAMI, how well do you guys, you mentioned some of the other agencies throughout Beaver County. Do you guys all work together, and how well does that go?
We do. One of the bigger things that we do is the Youth Ambassador Program, and that's for school-based kids. And we meet typically at the CCBC Golden Dome a couple times during the school year, and everybody gets bussed in and whatever. All the vendors are kind of around the area, and then they have presenters that have like relevant topics for the kids to talk about, and they have opportunities to interact, eat together, dance together, whatever.
Oh, that's cool.
It's a phenomenal environment, and then we as vendors get to kind of talk amongst each other and whatever, and that's kind of an uplifting environment for all of us to be able to interact with one another as well, and kind of bounce some ideas and whatever while we have those moments when the kids are doing something else or whatever. So that's one of them. The Beaver County Bounces Back event, which the date is escaping me. I know it's sometime in May. That's a wonderful event that every year it is well attended. So I apologize for not having that date offhand right now, but I know that it's in May at Brady's Run on a Saturday.
I'm seeing May 17th, but I don't know if that's last year or not.
It's around that time frame. Whatever Saturday's around that for this year is what it is.
Yeah, that was May 17th of last year, so that would be like May 16th this year.
16th maybe, I think is what it is. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, we're visiting this morning with Rick Mattia. He is from NAMI Beaver County, and he is the best Beaver County this week. We're going to take a short break, and we'll be back with more right after this.
Hey, Sarah, how are you?
I'm really stressed out and I feel so overwhelmed. My daughter is getting married and then I'm taking care of my mom. I could really use a break.
You should call St. Barnabas Beaver Meadows. They have a really good respite program that can give you the break that you need.
Really? Tell me more.
When I was feeling overwhelmed taking care of my dad, I used St. Barnabas Beaver Meadows Respite Services. I was able to take him there for up to 30 days so that I could get the break that I needed. They were able to meet all of his needs, and he had so much fun that it was like a vacation for him too.
That sounds just like what I need. How do I get a hold of Beaver Meadows?
Just call 724-495-1600 and ask about their respite services. You can also go online to stbarnabashealthsystem.com.
Let's face it, work is a large part of your life. Why not choose a job that allows the opportunity of a fulfilling career working with people who appreciate you? St. Barnabas Health System is looking for extraordinary, service-minded people to join our team. Earn and learn with career opportunities on our clinical, housekeeping, and food service teams. For more information and to apply, visit stbarnabashealthsystem.com or call 724-444-JOBS. Jobs that are apart from the ordinary. Find them at St. Barnabas Health System.
We're back on the Best of Beaver County. Frank Sparks, and today our guest is Rick Mattia. He is from NAMI Beaver County, and we've been talking a little bit about NAMI and some of the programs that NAMI has. What is the age group that you guys serve?
We actually started doing a program called Onward for high school students. It's like a text-based kind of a thing because that's kind of where everybody's at that age range. So we're hoping that that'll bring some people in. It's brand new. So that's something that we wanted to hit with that age range. We also start the Rising Stars group at 16, but we primarily get people that are postgraduate at that point for the programs, and then all the way up. It used to lean a little bit more older adult prior to me starting, and it, for no reason at all, it just kind of has leaned younger recently.
So is there different stages to mental illness, somebody having issues?
Yes, and I think it all depends on what way we're talking about that. So I think that there's the original stages of things is when something either occurs internally, as we had talked about, or an external circumstance. And I think it's hard for people to identify that they need help at that stage sometimes, because it's kind of like anybody that might have like a cut on their hand, and then they say, oh, this doesn't look so bad right now, and then it ends up being infected. So it kind of works that same way, I think, with mental illness. I didn't mean to make such a simplistic parallel there, but I think that it works the same way with mental illness and just issues that we're dealing with. If we allow them to fester, it will only grow in ways that we don't want it to.
Well, when you hear mental illness, all of a sudden somebody thinks somebody's just out of their mind and they're crazy.
Yes.
And that's not true, because that's why I was asking about the different stages. So everybody has some type, as you said, whether it's mild or whatever it may be.
Correct. Yeah. So when you put it in those kind of terms, I feel like there's different levels of depression or anxiety or whatever it might be, and diagnostically, that shows that as well. But yes, so there's a variety of different treatments that would work in different scenarios with people, depending on where it is that they're at. But the important thing is having kind of that network of people, whether it be family or friends or professionals that are around you, that can kind of edge you in the right direction to say, hey, you know what, maybe you should talk to somebody or something like that, in the nicest way possible, of course.
So what is the cost involvement of being coming to NAMI?
There are no costs whatsoever with NAMI. None.
Okay.
All of the programs, and we really don't even have kind of like a prior registration for anything. If you want to come to our groups, you just show up. The online groups, we would just ask that they would provide us with some of their personal information, just in case something happens while they're on there, and we would be able to provide that information.
So how do you guys survive
services.
if it's free?
We get money from Beaver County Behavioral Health.
Okay.
We're contracted out by them every year. They really are happy with the types of services that we provide, and we're always eager to start new things as well, which I think is really neat. That even the board of directors, myself, and then the people that I have helping out, everybody's really on the same page with what are we looking at in our community right now? What do we need? And then we try to tailor fit something for that.
These programs you have, especially the ones that are in person, how much does that forge friendships within people that come to them?
It really does. Even with the online ones, if anybody, for most of the people that are local for them, we're able to do like movie nights, game nights, different things that we're able to get together. Every spring, we usually do a couple things together with them. This year, there's a lot of them that are online that are saying, hey, can we have a movie night? What can we do here? So we have a library room in our building, and what we're going to do is make that into a game room, and we're going to have some of the different staff or volunteers there and just invite people from the community in to just play some games together and just kind of socialize. So
that's cool that they suggested to you, hey, what about a movie night?
Yes,
so that's cool.
Yeah, I love it. I love getting that feedback.
Yeah. So typically, how many people do you guys serve in a year?
I would imagine between all groups, probably about well over 100 for sure.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
well over 100. Yeah,
Right.
in each all capacities.
Moving forward, as people are getting through and getting healthy, do they continue to seem like they want to help each other as they go?
Yes.
I know you talked about as they're going through it together. You know?
Yes. So I know I can speak internally about our programs. I know that the family support group that I oversee, there's several people that are just on pretty much at this point just to kind of triage when someone new comes in and help them out with whatever it is, saying, oh, here's, in my experience, this is what it worked for me, or in my experience, this is just what happened at all. Kind of helping people feel safe and comfortable as well as providing ideas. So I know internally we do that, but yeah, I believe so externally as well. I know that I've heard great things from that youth ambassador program,
Right.
From people that go back to their schools and then, champion the ideas that they heard there. So, it does move forward.
I'm sure it's a comforting level too. Is like you said, when you're having intake or something, and somebody's there and say, "This is what worked for me," or "This is," and they're talking to them. That's a comfort level, because when you walk in the door, I'm sure when you first come, you're nervous to start with. But then that gives you that comfort, and you're like, oh, okay, there are other people that are suffering from the same things I am, and it gives them that comfort.
It's big. It's really, really big to feel validated and to feel like you're, that people are dealing with the similar things that you are, because then, that you can feel, comfortable to tell them things or to hear back from them for what worked for them or whatever. You're less guarded at that point, and I've seen that happen a lot.
How flexible are your programs? Do you have some during the day, some during the evening, so that it fits everybody's work budget?
We do. So the Thursday group is at night. We want to start a general group, because that one's for young adults, and I've gotten and I don't turn anybody away. So we have some people that are over 30 in there, but I've gotten feedback from them saying, "Hey, I love being in there. I love hearing these updates, but I don't feel as comfortable saying things because I'm a little older than them and whatever." So that's once again something we're looking into, to have maybe another program during one of the other weekdays to provide for maybe some of the adults that are over 30 or 40, just so that they have an outlet as well. But yeah, we have the daytime ones, and then we have some in the evening as well.
That's awesome. What do you got coming up? Anything?
So our creative exchange, which is what we did last year at the Beaver Valley Church of God here in Brighton Township, we are going to have that again in the fall. But we've also kind of taken that on as kind of like a motto, the creative exchange. So we're going to have a Facebook group and a couple other things that are related to that, because we really believe that hobbies and interests can be a huge thing for people to be able to come up with some positive ways to spend their time, because I think that the idle mind is not a good thing. We doom scroll too much. We look at too many things that are not healthy for us. So when we have outlets and hobbies that we can really use our hands with, or just things that we can kind of spend our time doing or whatever, I think it's a great way. So we want to have that as a movement more so than just an event. So that's kind of where we're heading with things as well right now.
I'm sure that helps out a lot too, because I'm sure the winter time plays a lot as well, because people are stuck in their house, especially after we had all that snow.
This was a tough one, that's for sure.
Yeah. So it, if they got a hobby they're doing or something and they can share that online, that's an excellent idea.
Yeah. So that's what we're going to try to do. We're, with a Facebook group and some other online resources, and then even just promote that at just different things that I do. I do a lot of toy shows and things like that. That's my interest is vintage toys and whatever. So, and it's not just about selling them. I like telling the story about what it means to me. I have my own collection at home. It's really, really fun and whatever. So,
What do you collect? What all kinds of toys?
I do like vintage Halloween decorations.
Oh, okay.
Vintage display boxes, different things like that. And also the action figures. I have a lot of just different Star Wars and some just random things, obscure toys, Halloween, kind of things, and sci-fi is a big one for me as well, and fantasy toys like He-Man and whatever. But it's a blast. It really, really is. So when I'm out at these different shows, I can tell people about why I do it, and that means just as much to me as making a sale. Yep.
All right, Rick, do you want to give anybody information on how they can get a hold of you and become part of NAMI?
I can be reached at NAMI Beaver Co. at gmail.com. That's NAMI Beaver CO at gmail.com. I also have the phone number hooked into my phone, so I will not miss any phone calls, 724-888-6877. And you can also find us on Facebook as well.
All right. As always, it's been a pleasure.
You as well. Thank you.
Thank you for telling us about NAMI Beaver County. And this will replay again on Sunday on WBVP as well.
Great.
So
thanks for having us.
All right. Coming up next, Noah Haswell got news. That's it for this week on the Best of Beaver County.
St. Barnabas thanks you for listening to the Best of Beaver County.